Salutations friends, Wes here, and as promised in my previous video, today I bring you episode 1 of my ArkFound series where I, a rusty returning player, tries to catch up with the current endgame and do some things that I have not been able to so far. So, in the last couple of days I did quite a few different things. Most of those were catching up with my dailies on the majority of my roster. I know I mentioned that I will not be focusing too much on playing every single character that I have, or even a number of them that doesn't feel okay to me, but since I have been away for some time, I do not mind doing a bigger load of Chaos Dungeons and Guardians for the time being. And I did exactly that on several of the characters that I wanted to play. I also tried to save up as many of the mats as possible for my Slayer push, but that's a topic for a future video. The next thing I got out of the way were my Vulcan and Vicus runs on my outs. I did them on my Scrapper for the gold rewards since she already has a full relic set and does not need any of the bones and wings. The next step for my Scrapper is to get her to 1490 so that I can do both Clown and Brelshaza gates 1 and 2 for the juicy gold rewards, as well as to slowly build up horns for the new relic set. Right after that I jumped on my Reaper and I did the same, but with her I actually grabbed the extra horns from Vicus, and by doing so I was able to get her to a 6-piece entropy relic set. It's always so nice when you get a set bonus added to your character, even if it's a 2 or 4 piece, but once you finish the whole thing you can really feel the spike in damage that you do, so that was very nice. Once my two big outs were out of the way, I got on my Deadblade and also did Vicus on her. Next up, I took on a challenge that I had not completed so far. I wanted to do the entire Kukulsaidon raid and finish it alive. So, I got right to it. Gates 1 and 2 were not too bad. I had a few iffy moments here and there, but for the most part I believe now I can handle my own without any major issues in these gates, and I'm fairly confident in my gameplay. Gate 3, well, that was a little bit tougher. I had somewhat of a shaky start, but with a bit of training and a few failed Marios, we were able to get to the bingo phase. And then things became so much more real. Just kidding. It was pretty much a one-shot since we had a person calling out the locations for the bombs, and with that covered, the fight was actually not bad at all. I was super excited at the end, and since I bought the extra chests on all gates, I was able to get my Blade 4-piece level 2 relic set. I know it's not much, but every little bit counts, and I was pleased with myself. And just like that, Clown was down, but I had another mountain to tackle. While doing Clown was an achievement for me, that was not endgame content. My next step would be my most difficult one so far. I had set my sights on the purple goddess herself, Abroshet. But before I got started with that, I did a few other things. I got rid of as many boss rushes as I could prior to the addition of Ebony Cube. I also opened up a few gold pouches, which were very lucky. Then I decided to push my striker from 1415 to 1445 in order to do Vault on hard with him. I also did Vault on normal on my paladin. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to do this in order to have all 6 of my gold earning characters sorted. You see, I did not fully understand a part of the letter regarding the changes that were introduced recently. So in my mind, I was thinking that if you complete raids on all 6 gold earning characters, you can buy the extra loot boxes on all of your other characters without having to do the raids, which honestly sounded way too good to be true, and of course it was. The actual thing was a lot more logical, where you would be able to get the extra reward chest from any raid that you do for free after doing at least one raid on each of your 6 gold earners. Oh well, at least I know now. Regardless, I could not postpone the inevitable anymore, and so I mustered my strength and pushed on to Abroshet normal gate 1. I was pretty terrified since in my mind this Legion raid would be the absolute toughest thing ever to complete, purely based on how the raid looked and from watching videos where other players and streamers do it. So for that reason, I had my good player mentality and did my research beforehand. I had a cheat sheet on my second monitor and I was ready to go. We started gate 1 and nothing too crazy happened during the statues phase. There were a few times where a team would mess up their mechanics, but for the most part we did pretty well, which made getting to the point where we had to fight the 2 separate bosses quite trivial. We succeeded with the Thyrian cheese and then just casually DPS'd away. We got to the final stage pretty quickly and it was a bit more difficult than the rest, which of course was something expected. The combination of the normal attacks from the 2 bosses took some time to get used to, but they were repetitive enough so that you can learn the patterns pretty quickly. The golden square mechanic was also very comfortable since I had knowledge of how it is executed, so no problems there as well. The counter mechanic at 45 bars was a little bit trickier since the boss does move quite fast and almost fakes certain attacks, but all in all it wasn't nearly as rough as I thought it would be. I do have to say that the fact that the majority of the players in the group were pretty experienced definitely helped the run. And just like that, the first gate of the raid was done. I got the chest and we swiftly moved to the next one. Now, Gate 2 definitely felt a bit more challenging to me. The normal patterns were easy enough to learn, but there were quite a few more odd normal patterns which required you to pay attention throughout the entire fight, but also the main mechanics of the fight were a lot more frequent and were a bit harder to execute. I had a problem with the 135 line mech since I forgot to destroy the orb in order to create the safe spot. Another time I got hit by a projectile when I had the red mark on me for the 110 lines mechanic. The rest of the team were doing good and our Proc killer was skilled and also had no issues. So, with a few small mistakes and some goofy moments, the second gate was also done. I did not live to the end as I failed a pattern of explosions that made you go in and out of range of the boss, but in general I was pretty pleasantly surprised by how well I was progressing even in some of the more difficult contents in the game. I have not had the time to tackle gates 3 and 4, but that is absolutely the next thing I'm looking to get done. I'm currently sitting at 1505 gear score on my blade and I have 3 pieces of the new relic set. So that's my update for the time being. Next I plan to continue pushing my outs in order to get them to an optimal 1490 eye level, but this is a long process since I plan to do this naturally by using their own bound mats. I will of course continue to push to the later stages of the Abrushud raid with my blade and hopefully finish the entire thing at some point. I have to admit I'm having a lot of fun even when I'm not doing the latest and greatest content, so hopefully this feeling sticks. And this is all I have for you for now. Join me next time where I showcase my Slayer journey and all the different things I did to get her up to speed. In the meantime, make sure to catch me at twitch.tv/westwest_OG where I stream from time to time. I've been having some technical issues, but I'm hoping to have them resolved ASAP. Regardless, as per usual, I was Wes, and until next time, bye bye!